Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads, and surprising absolutely no one on this last day of 2021, I have two bills to tell you about. Anyway, let's get going. So over the weekend, I had an attempt at The Maleficent 7 by Johnston. This is a standalone epic fantasy in the grimdark tradition or style. It is, so quick synopsis. Black Heron was hours away from conquering her homeland. All of her enemies who survived, who were still living, were crammed in a fortress. Her armies were surrounding it. And her enemies had no hope. And then she abandoned her army. 40 years later, Black Heron returns as a new threat arises, the Lucid Empire, an aggressive young imperialistic empire whose hat is they're fanatically religious towards a new goddess called the Bright One. When the campaigning season starts with the spring, the Lucid Empire's first target will be the village that Black Heron has called home for the past 40 years. To save the village, she gathers her former captains. Black Heron herself is a powerful demonologist or sorcerer. Niven is a necromancer, Lorimer of Empire, Tarnak, a war god, Verena, pirate queen, Amog, orc chieftain, and Jarek Hayden, a mad alchemist. Can these 7 evil people set aside their inner conflicts, their personal conflicts with each other, their schemes and ambitions to protect this village? So I made it to I made it past 100 pages. I think about 120. I bailed before 150. I basically bailed between the two Amog chapters. So usually each captain takes 2 chapters to recruit. And so I basically bailed as Tarnak is challenging Amog with the revelation that he killed her father decades ago. And then I got bored. I've seen this before, largely because it's a pattern with the recruitment of all 6 of these evil people, is that they're all unwilling to join up to protect this village and to satisfy. I mean, they all refuse or want to kill Black Heron or kill each other, so on and so forth, and it got repetitive, and I really wasn't into the story anyway, so I just decided to bail. And let me move this over. Oh, no, that's not good either. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you basically, by the point they're trying to recruit a Mog, you've seen this before. Because it's happened with the previous former captains who've been recruited. And of course, you've seen this before. Johnston has described this novel as the Suicide Squad smooshed with Kings of the Wild. The Suicide Squad is a DC supervillain team who are convicts who have been recruited by the government, by the bureaucrat Amanda Waller, to run missions supporting American policy, but America can't have its fingerprints on it. So a team of supervillains performing these missions works well. And of course, that's what the Maleficent 7 are. They are supervillains recruited to do at least some good. Smoosh with Kings of the Wild, which is basically the first part of Kings of the Wild is getting the band back together with some humor. But of course, there's another major influence, which should be perfectly obvious, and that is Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai, in which Seven Samurai, in the case of Seven Samurai, and Seven Gunslingers, in the case of the Magnificent Seven, are recruited to protect a small village or town against a raid by bandits. So, this novel is ultimately well-trodden ground on multiple levels, and I think really suffers for that. And it really did nothing to really capture my interest. Which is a shame, because I did like Cameron Johnston's earlier novels, The Traitor God and The God of Broken Things. The Traitor God far more than I did God of Broken Things. I thought God of Broken Things dragged a bit towards the middle and end. Now, I'm also familiar with the next novel that I bailed. I'd previously read Rebecca Roanhorse's Trail of Lightning and didn't particularly get on with it. And the same is even more true of Blackson. I can't tell you what this book is about. I can't even guess. Because I bailed by the second chapter. The first chapter, in which a mother sews her son's eyes shut and other rituals, I thought was rather affecting. It was rather well done. And then the second chapter, which features a sailor waking up in jail because she went on a bender or something, was like, I think that scene's in every fantasy novel ever. And it's just, do we have to? I mean, these characters are not appealing. They don't work. These scenes don't work. So why keep doing this? It just... So I pretty much bailed. And I'm like, yeah. So, anyway. So, I decided, since I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today free, and I had ordered some slim volumes of poetry in December, which you've seen in my book haul, so just read them over the 4 days. So I started with Flyover Country by Austin Smith. This collection is informed by Austin's youth in rural Illinois, as well as violence. Many of these poems are violent, are informed by violence, and it is an incredibly powerful collection. I loved practically every poem in this collection, especially Spider. I cannot wait to, if I do Poetry Thursday, to really read that poem. But there are so many good ones in this collection. On Wednesday, I read Rain and Plural by Fiona Sze-Lorrain. The poems in this collection are not as uniform in inspiration and theme but I quite liked a lot of them. I mean, there were very few poems that I don't think quite worked. Most of them, I think, worked wonderfully. I thought There Would Be More Wolves by Sze-Lorrain is informed by nature. A lot of these poems are nature-oriented and people in nature, particularly hunting and that sort of thing. And my favorite poem from this collection is Rifle Season. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Rifle Season. It's a wonderful poem. And today I read Wonderrama by Doty. This collection is informed by Doty, Catherine's childhood in Paterson, New Jersey, and is very visceral. A lot of these poems are incredibly visceral. Some of them I found off-putting, but some of them I thought were incredibly interesting, particularly Hitter. I really thought Hitter was quite good. There were quite a few others. So, yeah. And I think for the moment, my desire for poetry is kind of sated, so it might be a while before I order any more poetry. So, what will we be reading, or what will I be reading? I don't know why I used a we there. Or what will I be reading this coming reading week? So, tomorrow starts 2022, and as I mentioned in my reading plans for 2022, I'm embarking on No Fiction 2022, which means I will only be reading nonfiction in 2022, and I'm going to start with my name tag TBR. About a month or two ago, there's a book tag called the name tag, in which participants would take the letters of their name and pretty much match those letters to the first letters or the first letter of a book title. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to select books that I hadn't read and use that to create a TBR? And so I did that, and I'm about to embark on the 6 books that I selected using my last name. If I had gone with my entire name, it might have been a while, and I really don't have any nonfiction books, or really any books, period, with a J as the first letter of the title. Except for, I think there's like Japan. But I'd already read that one years ago, so. Anyway, although I do need to get more Japanese history. That's one thing I want to get. Anyway, so I'll start with The Habsburgs to Rule the World by Martyn Rady. This is a history of the Habsburg dynasty from its beginning to, I guess, the dissolution of the monarchy after the First World War. And after I finish the Habsburgs, I will move on to The Opium War by Lovell, which is a history of the Opium War. I previously read Lovell's Maoism, A Global History, and loved it, and I'm really looking forward to getting to this book. So that's what I've read and what I will be reading. So let's see what else I can think of. So earlier I talked about my reading plans and my collecting plans. So obviously this past weekend was Christmas, if you so celebrate that holiday. I am an atheist, so my relationship to Christmas as a religious holiday is a bit weird, although I fully embrace the holiday as pretty much a commercial thing, as a basically a secular commercial gift giving opportunity and family gathering opportunity. And so, obviously, I showed the two books that I got for Christmas in my book haul. And in January, I will probably show a few more once I use the gift cards that I've been gifted. So for Christmas, me and my mom went over to my younger brother's house to spend time with him and his wife and the four children of the apocalypse. We had lunch. We watched the four children open their presents. Famine was delightful, far more communicative than she has been. Pestilence was strangely nice. Her and my mom don't necessarily, or her and her Meemaw don't necessarily have the best relationship most of the time, but they seem to have worked it out. War started off as a little grump. He woke up early and then fell back asleep, and I think that was part of his problem. And I also think he does have a habit of, I think, wanting specific things for Christmas or his birthday incredibly close to the time, and the presents have already been bought. So he was initially a little upset about what he'd gotten, but he rallied and really enjoyed the presents after a while. And death was just a super cutie, as he always is. So yeah, it was fun. Me and my mom enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure my brother and his wife and the four children of the apocalypse enjoyed it too. So that's what we did. I'm not entirely sure if they have any plans for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I kind of don't want to go over there because I really want to get started on the Habsburgs. So yeah, on thinking about that, because we were over there for like 4 or 5 hours, maybe even 4 or 5 hours, and I had started reading the Maleficent 7 before we left, and then I came back to it. And did that have an effect on my enjoyment or my engagement with the novel? I don't know. I mean, I really wasn't feeling it. It really wasn't doing anything for me. And I don't really think taking a reading break to go and socialize and have family time really affected whether or not I ultimately bailed on the novel. I mean, it has happened before where I'm reading a book and having to do something, stop and have an extended errand or something else has affected my reading. Particularly, I think it was The Root by Naman Gilbert Tillahan, that I was rather enjoying it, and then I had to do an errand and it sort of petered out the first time I tried it, and I ultimately bailed. And then I tried it again, and then I got a little bit further in, and then I kind of decided I didn't really like the book, so I bailed again. And for some odd reason, I have the sequel, and periodically pre-order the third volume. I'm insane. That is one thing I do need to work on, is I only order sequels to books I actually like. I need to do that, but I don't. Anyway, so yeah, BookTube. I'm starting to ramble, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. Thank you. Have a great evening. Hope you have a wonderful start of your new year if you celebrate the new year. And I will see you next week. I'm not entirely sure what I'll be doing, like video-wise, except for weekly reads on Friday. So we'll see how things turn out. And I might do some tag videos. I might do other videos. We shall see. So until then, BookTube, thank you. Again, have a great evening and weekend. And I will see you again next week. Until then, stay safe.